All right, everyone. I'm excited to introduce my next guest, iconic actress, singer, author, Sunny Day on Hawaiian Eye, and Katie Douglas on My Three Sons, author of My Three Lives. Welcome to the show, Tina Cole. Hey.
Yay, thank you, Jeff. Great intro. Thank you so much. It's nice to be with you.
It is great to be with you. I loved your book. There's so many stories. I have so many notes.
Oh, good.
So all over the place. So I'm not gonna go in. I'll go in order, but not always in order. So like I want to jump to one thing real quick because I was really interested in this. So all right, so you're on Hawaiian Eye, you're Sunny Day, and then you're popular in Australia, and then you get to open for Rowan and Martin.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It's pretty scary. I had never done anything. I mean, I pre-recorded my songs for Hawaiian Eye, and I'd been on stage with my mom with the King sisters just to, when she had a bad throat or something, she'd get me up and I'd sing with her. But other than that, I had never done anything. And suddenly I was hired to open for Rowan and Martin. They weren't doing Laugh-In yet, so they were just a really popular stand-up, group. And my mother said, "Oh, I'll throw an act together for you." She made my costume. I went to her home for 2 weeks, and then I left for Australia. I had never rehearsed a band. I'd never done, my own solo anything. So it was pretty scary, very scary moment for me. But the boys made it wonderful. Dick was great, and Dan, and they were wonderful guys. Yeah, it was really fun. But so are you talking about, opening night? Well, the plane was late. The flight was late. I'd never rehearsed a band before. I had all this music. The opening number, we didn't get to rehearse very long. The opening number was a real fast jazz waltz, really wordy. I got through but the conductor conducted it too fast. So it was really, and trying to get the words out. And I wasn't experienced enough to be able to turn around to the band and say, "Hey, let's start that again at a 1, 2, 3, and slow it down." I didn't know. I just, and the second verse went right out of my head. And it was like, I know I look like the deer in the headlights, and I just la-la'd through the second verse because I didn't know what else to do. La, 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 la. And I caught up with the chorus. Well, there were so many, because the guys were so big, and it was a new Chevron Hilton hotel. Every, television news, everybody was there. And I came off I wanted the stage to open up and just swallow me up. I came off, and the guys were wonderful. They said, "You know what? This happens to everybody. Don't worry about it. It'll get better." The next morning, all the reviews came out. There's something about the Australians. They were just wonderful. They loved me. They just, because I was cute. I said, yeah, she had kind of a hard time, out of the gate, but it did get better. Talked to the band leader, and he slowed things down, and it turned out to be a wonderful experience. But that first night, it was just, I think it was every performer's nightmare.
The first time you do something, or just when you have that moment of self-doubt, like when you forget something.
Oh yeah. Now I'm experienced enough where I could make up words, but then I didn't know how to do that.
I would do stand-up comedy, and if someone looks at you funny and you're like, "Oh my God, is my zipper down?" And then that's all you can think about is my zipper. I don't think it was down, but it looks like, why are they looking at me? That it's like the things that do with
Everybody does stand up. I don't know how they do it. To me, that is terrifying.
I would love to be able to sing. That would be really great.
We all have our talents, don't we?
We do. You mentioned your mom a couple of times. So you grew up in your parents were very famous people. Were you aware of the famousness of which you were being born?
Not at all. I just thought everybody did what we did. I had no idea. And I didn't know their celebrity. I had no idea until even a few years ago about my father. I had no idea he was such a big deal in Hollywood. And, I was surrounded by my cousins and my little friends on my block, and not a clue. I wish I had known, because I would have asked them so many more questions. But my dad died suddenly of a heart attack at 47, so we didn't expect that. But luckily, so many people had written so much about him that I learned. I didn't even know he had done The Sound of Music. I kept listening, I love the movie, and I would watch, and I said, God, that organ sounds just like Daddy. And then I found out on Facebook, yeah, that was my dad. And he had reworked like 8 hours on the soundtrack. He had done over 1,000 film soundtracks before he passed away at 47. I guess I found out that he had his heart attack the next night after doing 8 hours, not because of the session, but finishing The Sound of Music. So that really tickled me to know that.
What a legacy. 1,000 soundtracks
Yeah.
by 47?
At 47.
Wow.
Yeah. He started very young and he was self-taught, but he built a 1,200 pipe, he reassembled a 1,200 pipe organ in a studio in our backyard. And it was they had a recording studio. He had his baby grand in there. He had his 3-tier big pipe organ. He had a full bar. I mean, like you'd walk into a lounge somewhere and, like Cheers or something. I mean, it was a big full bar. And that's where people would come over after record dates and radio shows and whatever and hang out in the music room. I just read an article. My cousin found it in an old album of her mom's about all the people that would come over to our music room after work. Art Tatum, who was one of the greatest jazz pianists ever, was my dad's idol. Blind jazz pianist, wonderful. He would come over and they would record for hours. I would love to see if I could find those recordings of Art Tatum, because I don't know that anybody's got them. They would be a treasure, wouldn't they?
That would be quite a find.
Yeah. We're going through boxes and albums and books and finding all this stuff about our parents. That it was a small pond then, too. So you knew all the players. Like today, I didn't even know who was at the Grammys. I couldn't have told you who half of those people were.
That happens.
And my Uncle Jim, that was one of his ideas. He started the Grammys, helped started the Grammys. Yeah. I think he sort of would have been rolling over in his grave now, but because they used to have so much class.
Oh, so he was like an A&R man, right? Like one of the first. I think in the book, if I remember correctly, you credit him with kind of your career kind of taking off.
Oh, absolutely. And just because when we were little, he would say, he got Columbia out of the red, and then he started Warner Brothers Reprise. He said he'd give him 5 years. But while he was recording all these things, they would need children's voices. And he would say, hey, I've got kids at home. And my cousins had, high hopes for Frank Sinatra. We did all Dorothy Provine when she had the Roaring Twenties show. The girl cousins were her backup singers. We recorded something for the Everly Brothers. That was really fun. And the guys on the track, we were, 14, maybe 14, 15. The 3 guys that we were doing it with, there were 3 of us, 3 girl cousins, and these 3 guys. They ended up becoming the Letterman. It's just crazy, and not being aware of any of it. It was just normal home. Didn't everybody do that?
Didn't everyone's Uncle Jim create the Grammys? Come on.
So he needed a producer for, I think it was Bourbon Street Beat, the television show, had written a rock and roll song. It was brand new rock and roll. It was really a new thing. He had written a song he wanted to do in his show. And he asked my Uncle Jim if he would have someone there to arrange it. And he said, well, it's really a kid's medium. I've got teenagers at home. Let me give it to them. And we did 4 of us did an arrangement. We sang it. We made up a dance to it. And we had to go to Warner Brothers to show it to the head of the studio, Bill Orr and Hugh Benson and Jim Phillips, his right arms, and the producer. I can't remember his name. It was a really terrible song. Heel to heel, toe to toe, and soul to soul. Really corny. But we did it. And then we were going home. We just done our uncle a favor. And I was asked to wait and go into this room, back into the room, and sit down, stand up, put your hair down, profile, smile. And they said, we'd like to screen test you. And I was screen tested 2 days later. at 14 with Gary Cooper. Showed up in my screen test.
That's really cool.
I know it was very cool, but I didn't know who he was. He was just an old man. I'm 14. What do I know? There's so many things I wish I had known.
Funny, I didn't know what an A&R person was until recently. I got the opportunity to interview Mickey Stevenson, who was the A&R man for Motown.
Oh.
And so that's how I even learned it. I didn't even know what it was until then. I'm like, oh, so when I saw that, oh, your Uncle Jim was the A&R guy, I'm like, oh, I know that's a big deal.
Yeah. He produced Nat King Cole and Peggy Lee, Joe Stafford, and all these people for Capitol. He really put Bob Newhart on the map, discovered him when he was with Columbia, brought in the Everly Brothers over to Warner's. And then he headed up the Voice of America for Ronald Reagan. And then he got Alzheimer's, this brilliant man. And, 10 years of that. An amazing life before.
Yeah, your family have accomplished a lot.
My cousin Cam, it might be fun for you. He's a great interviewee. He just has written a book. It's a coffee table picture book. It's called And Now They're All Here, which was I think my grandma's only line in the King family shows. It's 100 years of one man's family and entertainment. So it's a big picture book. It's really exciting. He's got a little section on Buddy Cole, on me, on Jim, on the different people that had separate entities besides the King family. And there was a reason I brought that up, and I can't remember what it was because I talk too much.
You're just showing off that everyone in your family.
Yeah, right.
Super famous.
Yeah. No, but the book is wonderful because, I know that's why I brought it up, because we've all been going through pictures and books and trying to come up with all this stuff. So now it's just everybody's still into that mode. And my cousin just sent 20 pictures that we had never seen before of Buddy and Jim and the King sisters and Alvino Ray, my uncle, who, created the pedal steel guitar and the talking guitar. And I'm looking at these pictures and going, wow, so many things I still don't know. And I'm 80 years old.
I can't believe you're 80 years old.
No, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not really. That's a lie.
Okay, you get screen tested, but going back to your dad for a second, Buddy.
Yeah.
So when the who were the most famous people that you remember? Like, because I know he did stuff with Garland and right. I mean, I've seen there was a lot of pictures of you with famous folks in the book.
That's funny. Yeah.
Doris Day. Do you remember anyone specific? Like, did you meet Judy Garland? Was she at the house or like?
Never met Judy. Okay. Rosie Clooney was like my aunt. I mean, I was at her house all the time, and I would go to visit them when they were, in Las Vegas or something. I remember sitting I must have been 6, 8, maybe sitting. Rosie got a massage every day before, doing her show. And I remember going in and sitting on the floor watching this masseuse work on her and thinking, someday I'll know I'm a big lady when I can get a massage. That was my sister and I decided we'd sell massages. We went out by the pool and we had a little sign. So we were 8, maybe I was 10, and she was 6 or whatever. And we sold massages for 50 cents, and Tony Curtis bought one. We actually massaged Tony. Yeah. So I don't know. I tell you the one story, and I don't really remember it except from stories, but I remember him, Hoagie Carmichael, such an amazing composer and whatever. And he would come in sometimes. Well, he and my dad would get a little tipsy, little 3 sheets to the wind. He'd come in my room at like 4 a.m. and wrap me up in my blanket and take me out to the music room and sit me on the piano and say, all right, I'm not going to get this published until you tell me if you like it. And he'd play, like Georgia or, Buttermilk Sky or whatever. I mean, I just remember seeing people there all the time. James Mason, Doris Day, Tex Ritter, the man who, and I can't remember his name. He was the producer of the Time for Beanie, the puppet show. It was like one of the first puppet shows out there, I think. And my dad played the piano live for the show. And the writer, he'd come over, and he had lost a hand, I think, during the war. And so he had a prosthetic hand, and it had hair and everything on it. Looked like a real hand, but after about 4 weeks, they would get all the hair would fall off and it would get really waxy and orange. And I'd be looking at it going, oh, this is really creepy. I wish I could tell you all the people, but he was the main musical director for Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney and Phil Harris. It's funny because I'll be shopping, and they've got the elevator music, in the stores, and I'll go, oh, that's Daddy, because he's backing up Dean Martin or, or Doris Day or any number of. I mean, he was like the main studio musician, for piano.
That's amazing.
Henry Mancini, yeah. Oh, and I get weepy, and I'm picking out lettuce sometimes. So, oh, I love that song. Then my son teases me all the time. He and his wife Jen, because they have music going on all day, and all different genres. And I'm just sitting there. Oh, there's Daddy. So now that's the big joke. Oh, there's Daddy all the time.
Oh, I love that. So, all right. So your mom was one of the 4 King sisters, which was this huge 4-part harmony female group. How did your parents meet? Was it, is it a coincidence that they're both so musical, or is that how they came?
And my dad, Albino, hired my dad to play when he formed his own orchestra with the King sisters. And my dad was the pianist. So
there you go. I'm just jumping ahead for a second because I remember reading.
I'm rambling.
No, it's all good. This is great. I love it. And so as I was reading this, it was like when you guys did the King family show, I think it said like there was 30, correct me if I'm right, 36 of you.
39, I think, because
39. So my
one
question,
of our cousins was on his mission and couldn't be there. So.
Well, my question is, how many members of your family aren't talented? Like, how many were sitting out? Like, if you had 40 there, 39 there, who's at home going, I wish I could sing?
At that time, everybody was in it. Everybody. We think about it now, and there was that little moment in time when we were all available. And they would get time off from their regular jobs, but we all were able to be there. And it was just like this little magical moment. My mom kind of scratched her head one day and said, why don't we do a show with the King sisters and their families? We've never done that before. And it was summer and we just did it. We thought we were doing a one-night fundraiser to build a new chapel for our church where I lived in the town of Orinda in Northern California in the Bay Area. And then my aunt said, well, we're going to need some money to build our chapel in LA. Will you do it? So we did another show. And then my grandpa had been one of the first student body presidents of senior class president, I think, of BYU. It was a BY Academy at the time. And he put the Y on the hill, his class. And they called and said, we're building a Cougar Stadium, a new stadium. Would you do a fundraiser? And we said, well, sure. It was all within a few months, and we were all able to do it. Even the ones that didn't feel as comfortable. Some of us were hams and, loved it. There were a couple that did not, and they dropped out, as soon as after the first year or two. They didn't want to continue. So and he was a great singer and dancer, actually, but he became a dentist. And, there were only like a few cousins that really didn't stick with it. Crazy, huh?
It is. Hey, the world needs dentists also.
Yeah, that's right. We needed a plastic surgeon and a heart surgeon. That would have been good.
All right. So you get screen tested.
Yeah.
I think did you call it a personalities testing or something?
It wasn't a scene. Yeah, I didn't do a scene. The director just stood at the camera and said, well, tell me how do you feel about this? What, ask me about school and life. And I would just stand there and answer the questions in front of the camera. And there was this really tall, lanky old man standing next to the director in jeans and a Pendleton shirt, and a few days scruff in his face, which wasn't popular then, and wire rim glasses. And he starts walking out into the scene, and they said, Tina would like you to meet Gary Cooper. I think they wanted me to swoon. They expected me to go, Gary Cooper. But I was 14 and I didn't know who he was. And he was, looking like an old man. And anyway, they were going duck hunting right after the screen test was over. So he was dressed for that. They liked me. They thought the camera saw something. So they asked me if I would study in their drama workshops every summer for the next few summers, which I did. I'd go down and play at Warner Brothers, which was like a dream. I loved going through all the old, like the sets. They had the permanent streets, like New York Street, and they had a neat Mexican villa, and they had a lot of German bombed out French or German streets. And excuse me, that was the most exciting thing for me, rather than just taking the classes. I liked that too. But to be able to just roam around the studio was really fun. I mean, 14, 15, 16, that age. And I just found out I still have very good friends from high school. We get together every Super Bowl, like 30 or 40 of us still. I never told anybody, any of my friends at school, what I did in my summer. That's when you asked, it was so normal that I didn't think about, oh, this is special. I should tell somebody. Guess what I got to do? It just was, yeah, that's what we did. Crazy, huh?
That is great. I love it, though. It's fun. Okay, so this is Hawaiian Eye.
Yeah. They remembered me when I was 19, and they called and said, we want you to screen test for Hawaiian Eye. It happened to be my favorite show. And I love Connie Stevens. I didn't replace her. I mean, I replaced the female lead, but not her character. So I was yes, you got Sunny Day, you got that right. And they told me it was because I had such a sunny personality, and I reminded them of a young Doris Day, which was a real compliment for me because I adored her. I screen tested. I had a screen test. I do songs and a dance, and I had a screen test, and it was with Troy Donahue, of all people, who had just done, A Summer Place and Parish, and he was like the heartthrob of the world. Again, it was just like what we did. I wasn't like bowled over, although I'm a little nervous, which probably helped the scene. It was a romantic scene in a restaurant. Harmless.
As I was reading that, and I saw you mentioned Troy Donahue, the first thing that pops in my head is from Grease, like "As for You, Troy Donahue."
That thing. Oh, golly, Jeff. When I tell people, people say, "Well, what did you ever do?" Or tell me about whatever, and I'll say Troy Donahue. Well, most of them don't know who he is, and I'll say, "Remember Grease?" So I bring that up. And he says, "Oh yeah, we know who that is now."
So the line in Grease is, "As for you, Troy Donahue, I know what you want to do." You have your own. Very.
Yeah, you read some of my stories. I
read all your stories.
Those guys were relentless. And I just think they had so much fun teasing me because I was so different from. I was a good girl. I was. Yeah. I mean, the time, the first time when he had me alone and put his arm around me and said, I want to go to bed with you. And I said, don't you want to go to bed with me? And I looked at him and said, no. And his arm literally fell off the couch. What? You don't? Everybody wants to go to bed with me. Well, you're a really nice person. So I don't know if I said this in the book. My mother always said, use this line, just say, well, if I were the kind of a girl that did that, I would certainly want to do it with you. Worked every time.
It's funny, but I mean, like, you have like all these stories that, like, nowadays, I mean, I think it'd be a huge scandal. Robert Conrad just shows up in your room, and Troy is like,
oh yeah, he
had to deal with a lot, Tina.
On the bellman to give him the key to my room, and I know midnight, all of a sudden he's climbing into bed with me. He was clothed. He hadn't taken his. Thank goodness. And I just would. It's like, what are you doing? Get out of here! And they did. There was. The time I spent with Bill Cosby for hours, but I didn't drink. I don't know. Maybe that saved me.
Yeah, I had a note here that's dodging the bullet of not accepting the drink from Bill Cosby. I dodged.
That was a thing then. Well, yeah, they said it was. My cousin made me look at the documentary. I was watching. He kept hitting me, going, "See, that could have been you. See." I did dodge a lot of bullets, didn't I? With the Beatles, with the
Wait, I got a whole thing here with the Beatles. I don't want to gloss the Beatles sex party, because like this was like, I was reading this and I'm like, what the?
Me too. When I found out, I had no idea. Again, just naive, But I think I still am. I mean, I just trust. Think people are intrinsically good.
I never pictured the Beatles being players. I mean, I know everyone was in love with them. I know, I mean, everyone had their favorite Beatle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what you describe in the book is next level.
Throwing themselves at them. All those guys, all the different bands. And the girls were just crazy. And so why not take advantage? I mean, they were barely 20, those boys, they were boys. Hollywood for the first time, and they're superstars. I think there are so many of those groups I'd heard about. Same thing, just the women throwing themselves, and so they took advantage of it. And
that's why I started this podcast. No,
yeah.
I can't even go out anymore, Tina. So, all right, but you got to meet all the Beatles, so that's cool. John Lennon gave you a kiss, so that's cool. Our little speech.
I got kisses. I did not from Paul, but I got kisses from all the rest. But John was the big deal for me. I liked, I was crazy about him. I think well, I'll let you finish because I got it was just funny about the girl cousins and the Beatles. But
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
when we were playing in Atlantic City, the King family, and I got a picture, I think, in the book of our big billboard with the King family, and then this tiny little thing because they had a theater in the complex, and it said the Beatles Help. They were playing Help. Well, the girl cousins, the show, it started the second half of the show with a set just by the King sisters. We all opened the show, and then we went off and hung out for 20 minutes while the sisters did their set. We would change our clothes into our next outfit. We would run through the complex, down the escalators, into the theater, because the Help played over and over, just like the family did, like 4 or 6 showings each. And we would get there just in time to see John Lennon do, Hey, won't you hide my love away, that one. So we just swoon for one number, then we'd have to run back up and get back on stage again.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool. All right. So Hawaiian Eye. So Connie leaves because of a money dispute, right? Temporarily. And then comes money back.
I mean, I was told it was conflict because, and again, Connie, forgive me if this is what I was told, that she thought she should be in line to be cast as Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. And they said, no, we're talking to Audrey Hepburn. And she said, well, I think she felt that Cricket, her character in Hawaiian Eye, and she was extremely popular, and that she had leverage there. Because she was a contract player, the studio owned you. They said, okay, you're not working for 6 months. And they had to bring in someone else. And I don't think they thought I was a threat for her. I didn't feel like I was a threat for her. 6 months I did the show, and then she came back on as her regular character. And she had the lion's share of each show, but I was in it as well, reduced to a minor character because she really had been the star for 2 years.
All right. So you mentioned you were a contract player, and then after that, you guys all did Palm Springs Weekend together.
Yeah, that was the last hurrah for Ty Hardin and Bob Conrad and Troy and Connie and golly, I don't know if there were any other contract players at the time, but Jack Webb was hired to take over the studio. They got rid of all the contract players. And that had been the grooming place for stars from the beginning of Hollywood, were the contract players, and they got rid of all of us. And so we did this one movie together, and then that was the end. And the studio really became just bottom line. They weren't taking chances on newcomers anymore. They just wanted to get the money and the bottom line taken care of. I think that sort of ended an entire era of Hollywood. And I was so fortunate to have gotten in on, that last little bit.
So then after all that ends, then you're kind of, you don't have an agent. That was interesting that you never had an agent.
I didn't know from agents. I mean, you would have thought with my background that someone in my family would have sat me down and said, Tina, this is what you need to do. This is how you navigate. I would say, like to Bill Cosby, I said, give me a script and I can do it. I could do anything if I have the script. If I know he didn't have a script, he wanted me to play, improv stuff. And I knew nothing about improv. Give me a script. That same thing with the business. No one, and I didn't know the questions to ask. I really wanted to be a wife and a mother and be maybe a teacher. And so I had no idea about the business of the business. I knew about performing. And so I didn't know I needed an agent. I didn't even get credit in the credits for Palm Springs weekend because I didn't know I had to negotiate that. I would thought everybody would that was in the, and I had a pretty pivotal role. You know, not huge, but it was pivotal. Not even a credit. So, you know, I didn't even, when I did My Three Sons, I didn't have an agent.
All right, well, two things. One is I will download the poster and Photoshop your name on it and send it to
Would
you.
you please?
That's one. And then two,
Yeah.
you were on My Three Sons before you became Katie on My Three Sons. But before we jump to My Three Sons, you were on the Lucy show also. So you got to, did you get to hang with Lucy?
No. And mostly when you're a, you know, featured player or a co-star or whatever, you just go in, you rehearse your scene, and then you go. There's no hangout. They didn't have, like, for our shows, regular film shows, we didn't have like a table reading like they do for all the, like, the Friends and, you know, all those shows. They would have table readings, so everybody would get to know each other. But for film things, you just showed up with your script memorized. You'd rehearse it a couple of times and bye-bye. Even with Lucy, she did have a live audience, but our parts were so small we didn't do the table reads. It was very business. She just, you know, came in, did her thing, and she was gone. Although I did know little Lucy. We double dated a few times. Her my best friend was her stand-in, and so they became very close. But never Lucy. She was business for me. That was kind of disappointing.
Did you get to watch her work? I mean, from afar, even? Like, you got to kind of, you witnessed it, right? But yeah, but like,
you know what was really a surprising to me when I studied her and read about her? She didn't do improv at all. She was totally scripted. Every word out of her mouth, every movement was rehearsed. I thought she was, you know, just like by the seat of her pants, but no, she had no improv skills at all. I mean, that's amazing to me that it was every move was rehearsed for her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fascinating thing about it. It's like, she understood the business.
The mother of all comedy for women.
Yeah. It's not, you're on My Three Sons in season 4, 5, and 6 before joining as Katie full time.
Yeah. They remembered, and I didn't have an agent, but people like Feddersen Productions, you know, they had featured artists all the time on almost every show. So they remembered me and would just call and hire me. You know, and I didn't know how to negotiate. I didn't know how to talk money or anything. I just said, "Oh, okay." And I did it. And I was then the King family went professional. And so I just stopped acting because, again, I didn't have an agent to get me, you know, in to see people. And so it was kind of a surprise to get a call from Ed Hartman, the producer of My Three Sons, one night at dinner, just said, "Hey, we haven't seen you." And I said, "See me for what?" And he said, "Well, we've been looking for an actress to play the wife of Robbie, and we'd like to talk to you." Oh, okay. And that was just kind of, I think I was sort of a little rudderless boat. I didn't steer well.
Well, you seemed to find your path eventually, which was good. Yeah. I mean, do you think that if this was today, where people can watch things on demand and all that had you done some of these earlier episodes, you wouldn't have been cast later? Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's now somebody would binge a show and they go, "Wait a minute, that was the girl," right? Because they're watching it within a day and a half. You know what I mean?
They were only on once for prime time and once for reruns. So unless you happen to catch those shows, they didn't have a way of recording a show. So if you missed those shows, you wouldn't remember. You know, I don't know about that unless they would have liked me so much. They told me, and I don't know. They said they had seen 2,000 girls. They had tested 10 or 20, and they hadn't really locked into someone. And so they went back and started looking at the old shows, the last few shows. And the show that I had done the year before really was my screen test for that, because I played a serious girlfriend of Robbie's, and he was asked by a friend they were going out of town, if he would take care of their baby while they were gone and then babysit. And so he had me come over. Thought it was going to be an easier thing. And plus we could practice what it was like to be married. And of course, it ended up in a disaster. But the Feddersen people liked the chemistry. Although Don didn't. He really was against me doing the show.
Yeah. How did that feel? Because like all your stories are everyone being so in love with you and wanting, and then you get to My Three Sons and Don Grady's like, no, if you hire her, I'm out of
Oh,
here.
thank goodness I didn't know that. Oh, if I'd known that, that would have been really, really difficult. Yeah, it took him, well, the first year finally, just working together. Once he realized I was going to be it, we had a really good working relationship. I didn't find out for another year after that. When we actually fell in love for real, he told me the story, how he had really was against me doing it. But the producers knew better.
Yeah, I mean, you're an adorable couple. I mean, I rewatched
You were a good
a ton
couple.
of episodes. So what was it like? Because it was a big deal because male dominated show. Everything was about the widowed father, the sons. William was what was he, the uncle? And and then here comes Tina Cole.
Yeah, exactly. That's what kind of gave away, although I didn't get it at the time, my interview. First, I interviewed with Fred DeCordova. So he did our show 5 years before he left to do Johnny Carson. He usually in interviews, maybe 3 minutes, 10 minutes max, if they really like you, but usually 3 to 5 minutes at the most. I'm in here at least 20 minutes, half an hour with DeCordova, and it's all about the nuances of bringing, again, remember, people only had 3 channels and maybe a local channel or two. So everybody had to watch kind of the same things that the parents wanted to watch. They were very attached to and invested in their shows. And this was an all male show. So the whole interview was about, this character trying to endear herself to this audience that may not like her, may not want her there. So she had to be sweet, but not syrupy. She had to be a little feisty, but not bitchy, all those things. And it didn't quite dawn on me at the time. I thought it was an interesting interview. I mean, I really got the character. And the thing is, the character was really me. And I think that's what they saw. And then I did another 20 or 30 minutes with the producer. And again, how do we get the audience to really like you, to be glad that you're in their show? There were a few that weren't happy, but mainly because they wanted to marry Robbie, not me. But then I went in and there was to another room and there was Fred McMurray and his wife, June. And they had to get a feel what it would be like to work with me. I still didn't get it. I thought, well, maybe this is what everybody went through to be cast in a show, but it wasn't at all. And so I left the meeting with my sides that I thought I would have to screen test this scene. And I'm waiting at the elevator, and the casting director came running after me, said, "Tina, wait, where are you going? You didn't sign the contract." And I said, "What contract?" She said, "You got the part. We start in a week and a half." And again, no agent to negotiate anything. I called my mom and said, "Okay, I just got this role." And she got a good friend of theirs who did some negotiating. He worked in television, and he negotiated for me. And a week and a half later, I was on set. Pretty amazing.
That is amazing. And you were immediately loved, right? I mean, except for the women that wanted to marry Robbie.
Right. Yeah. No, everybody was wonderful. I was not a diva at all. I was not. I mean, I just wrote. Well, when you're a member of the King family with all those women, nobody can be a star. Nobody can be. I've had a lot of training just being part of the group, and I was fine with that. I loved being part of the group. I wouldn't mind communal living, actually. As long as I could do the cooking. Yeah. So everyone was really, really helpful and sweet. And everybody was very aware of how hard this was going to be, I think, too. So they were very, very helpful. And Don was very nice. It just was not. I mean, he was professional, so he didn't let me know that I was not wanted, except that we had to do all of the makeout scenes the first week because of the way we shot around Fred McMurray. Had to get all of his scenes with us done before he left. And I may have worked with him, but I really didn't know him. No one said, "Hey, Tina, this is Don. Let's spend some time getting to know each other." I walked in, like I said, there was a script. I had to just do my lines, be in love with him. How do you do that without an introduction or some kind of a meet or a get together or whatever? He was a professional, and so was I.
And so are you.
Yeah.
Seems like Fred took to you right away because I'm guessing I get the impression that he called all the shots.
I think so too. It had to go through his approval. And his wife, June, they just adored me and I adored them, so that worked. That helped.
So I know you'd been on a few episodes, but you're stepping in as a regular into a pretty tight group. So,
yeah.
I mean, Stanley, Barry, William did everything. I mean, except for Don's secret.
Yeah. No, everybody else thought I was perfect for it. And it, turns out that I was. I mean, I was the right fit. He really wanted a Ronnie Troop or a Peggy Lipton kind of surfer girly, tall, slim, long hair, straight body. Here I am, this bouncy, round, blonde, that he wasn't quite ready for. But they wrote the scripts well, I think, so that helped a lot.
Yeah, and he came around.
Oh yeah, so. He did. He definitely came.
Okay, so then you have triplets.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was nuts. I mean, we didn't have fertility drugs in those days, and triplets were very rare. Twins around, but wasn't that much. And I thought, no one's going to buy this. It's just too corny or whatever. And it turns out that was the top rated show for that week. It was when Katie had their triplets.
Well, I mean, they had that was what, season 9, 10. And so you had 9 seasons of people going, my three sons. So you have triplets. You're like, oh yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you have 3? It would have been weird.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I really thought when they told me that, it was like, gotta be kidding. And then the fun part was up until that point, which I did tell in the book about, women wore pillows around their waist. They tie their pillows on, strap them on. And that was when they went to show a pregnancy. And Don Feddersen wanted it to look really natural. So he had these suits made for me. And every 3rd month or whatever, they would pad the belly and the bust with foam rubber and lamb's wool and, so just build them up. And I talked about it in the book, but he wanted to see what the last trimester would look like. And so I had to go to his office and walk. And he said, nope, not right. And so I got excuse me, do you see a cat he's looking at you. My kitty cat is looking at your face now going, okay, who's this?
Oh, no, I don't see your cat.
Oh, no, he's not in this camera. He's right there looking at the screen like this. I got the suit back and they had put, you're gonna see him. Oh, no, get off. Okay, down. You got to get down. Wait, sorry about that. There he is.
Hey, kitty cat.
Okay, you can't be there. He had all these fishing weights put in the inside, sewn into the bodysuit. And then one big, long fishing, just lots of weights that I had to tuck into my bra. So the thing weighed a good 18 pounds, this belly that I had to wear. It zipped up the back. It was a whole suit. And it really was a much more natural way instead of the pillow. That was kind of fun.
That is kind of cool. I mean, it's a little revolutionary. Might as well. You were the first non-pillow pregnancy.
In fact, I don't know, did I tell this in the book about me going to visit my dad at my stepfather? I call my dad. He was one of the vice presidents of Universal MCA. So I went over to show in one of my maternity dresses and walked into his office, lumbering in this suit. My dad loved jokes. And in fact, he was the director of Queen for a Day and This Is Your Life. So he loved jokes. And we got in, he's going to take me down to my car, got in the elevator, and Lou Wasserman, who was head of Universal at the time, got in the elevator, and Bill said, "Hey, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Tina." And he looked at me, he said, "When are you due? Like, I mean, any minute?" And my dad said, "Yeah, right now." And he took his fist and he hit me in the belly. And I thought, and Lou just went, "Oh, you." It was like, he said, "No, just kidding." And he explained what I was doing. That was the only time I got to really show off my suit.
That's really funny. And then later, like they almost spun you and Don off into your own
Yeah.
show. And then he quit, or he left, or he stopped acting. Or...
Very sad. That was hard because it sort of, what were they going to do with Katie and the boys? You know, how do they do that? And I think a spinoff would have worked. I think it would have been really nice. We could have done a really good job with that.
That would have been good. And then, so Don, Fred gets married. His guy, Steve Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
Married
Beverly.
to Beverly, Garland, Barbara on the show, and who then later becomes your TV mother-in-law and your real mother-in-law.
And my real mother-in-law. Yeah. 2 years after. No, God. 79. The last show was filmed in 72. Yeah. So 7 years later, I start dating her stepson and we get married. She becomes my real stepmother-in-law.
Was it?
And then after he left for greener pastures, she still remained my mother-in-law. She was very loyal.
Very nice. Very nice. Was it, did you enjoy having another major female on the show, or was it?
It was a little scary for me at first, or just intimidating, I guess. She was, had been around for a long time and knew everybody. I mean, she dated Sinatra, for heaven's sakes. She was closer to Fred's age. Just, I guess maybe the familiarity in the industry, and very confident. And again, I never had the confidence, I guess. And so it was like shades of Connie Stevens coming back. I mean, it was that she was kind of became the star because she was the star's wife. So it was difficult at first. And then we were going on a publicity junket, something we were riding in a limousine together. This is fairly early on. And we didn't get a chance earlier to find out about each other. So we were asking questions. And I said, "And who are you married to?" And she said, "I'm married to Fillmore Pajot Crank, and it takes a hell of a man to live with a name like that." That's how she introduced him. And we became close right after that. When I saw her sense of humor, she was so funny. She was a great lady, really a great lady. I loved her very much.
Wow, you just had so experience on top of experience on top of experience.
Well, yeah. Did you read the Zsa Zsa Gabor one?
I did reach out. I've got 1,000,000. I got 1,000 little notes. It's about friends.
Zsa Zsa was not a nice person. All the other, Ann Baxter, so many big stars that did My Three Sons because of Fred. And they were all wonderful and gracious. And even the younger people, we did Sal Mineo and
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart. Who from the Monkees? Who was it?
Nikki Dolenz.
Yeah, Nikki, did the show. I mean, and everybody was just lovely people. I mean, really nice, easy to work with. But Zsa Zsa was a real diva. And
that doesn't come as a big surprise.
Yeah. And yet her sister was, they say she was just lovely.
Right. Her sister was Green Acres, right?
Yes.
Ava.
And she was a nice person, very nice person. But Zsa Zsa was just, well, for your listeners that haven't read the book, our makeup man was so nervous because of the divaness of Zsa Zsa. He said he had been Claudette Colbert's makeup artist forever. He'd been around for a long time, so he knew a lot of the stars. He said, "Listen, if she comes in early," because we always given 2 hours for makeup and hair and clothing and getting ready to work. And he said she might come in early. She might feel like she needs more time. Would you mind if you're in the chair moving over to the corner makeup table and just finishing her makeup. And I said, oh, that's fine. That's no problem. And well, she got there early. And so he looked at me like, quick, get over there. And I did. And I finished my hair and makeup. And then as I was leaving, I heard her say to him, well, you could tell Tina's not a very good actress because no good actress does her own makeup.
Oh man, that is funny. So everyone should get Tina's memoir, My Three Lives. I will say that we could end on one King family story, which is being on Family Feud.
I wish I could have told that story better. We had to have been the dumbest contestants ever on that show with Richard Dawson. My aunt Alice was in the hospital at the time, and she got out of the hospital just to do the show. They gave her some drugs so she could function, and went back into the hospital right after it was over. She was a little loopy. I don't know why we were so dumb. Richard said we were probably the worst contestants he'd ever, the funniest. And he was a friend of ours, but we were against the Lennons and the McRae family. So Gordon McRae and Meredith, who had done My Three Sons, and their family. Who was her husband, the actor? I think he was he on not that what's the girls in the water tower?
Petticoat Junction?
Petticoat Junction. Yeah, I think he was on it. Anyway, and Sister Sledge that did We Are Family, that group. They were all fabulous, wonderful people. And I swear, up until the very last round where they triple everything, we were like in the toilet. I mean, and people were just laughing because we were so dumb. And we ended up winning. I don't know how that happened. I've got my trophy right here behind me. I mean, that was fun. That was really fun. I swore I wasn't going to kiss him. Wasn't going to let him kiss him, but we were friends. So I'm going to kind of, because he kisses everybody, or he did. But
yeah, thing. That was Richard Dawson's thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I did that to escape Elvis Presley's. I think I wrote that in the book too. I didn't want him to kiss me, and he's coming down the front of the stage. We were at the International, and just as he was coming up to me, I remembered I left something under the table, and I ducked down, and so he had to pass me by because I didn't want to share all those sloppy kisses with everybody else.
The running theme of this interview is everyone that wanted to kiss Tina Cole but didn't get the opportunity.
No.
So funny. Gina, you're awesome. Thank you for spending all this time with me. I appreciate all these stories. You're amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're a great host.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. Did I answer any unanswered questions?
No, I think I covered so much. I mean, we'll leave the rest. Everyone go. If you want more, go buy Tina's book, My Three Lives. It's
get it on Amazon and like Barnes and Noble online, Bear Manor online. And if you want it autographed, you can go to my Facebook page, Tina Cole Facebook, and go to the store, and I will autograph the books very personally.
There you go. I'll put a link in the show notes for everyone so they can get that.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. That was fun.